Calling the meeting to order. Roll call. Maria Okpara, I'm present. Gary Arce,
Present.
Amanda Buchanan,
Present.
Rick Raleigh.
Here.
And absent today is Dennis Bender, the president of the board. Amanda, can you lead us in Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Sure. All right, right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kylie, do we have any public comments pertaining to closed session?
We do not.
Thank you. Um, Closed session agenda items, people personnel expulsion cases, stipulated expulsion number 6, 2223, and expulsion number 20, 2223 through expulsion number 22, 22 to 23. Number 2, conference on litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9 subsection A, current litigation, 9 cases. CIVDS 19-07172, CIVDS 20111183, CIVDS 2022956, CIVDS 2023366, CIVSB 2111303, CIVSB 2220303, CIVSB 2218676, CIVSB 2304865, CIVSB 2304865. Government Code Section 54954.5 subsection C and 54956.9 subsection D and subsection 2 and subsection E and subsection 1. Anticipated litigation, 1 case, 2020-2021-1005. Public employees, discipline, dismissal, release, reassignment, transfer, leave, title, certificated and classified employees. Public employees, appointment, resignation, retirement, reduction, title, certificated and classified employees. Conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator Dustin Conrad, employee organization, Apple Valley Unified Teachers Association. Conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator Dustin Conrad, employee organization, California School Employees Association. Conference with labor negotiator, agency negotiator Trinae Nelson, employee organization unrepresented. Conference with real property negotiator, Government Code 54956.8, negotiating parties Matthew Schulenberg, Apple Valley Unified School District. I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now we go to closed. We'll be back at before 3 or at 3. Calling the meeting back to order. Um, There is no report for California School Employees Association and Apple Valley Unified School District Teachers Association, is it? No. Superintendent's comments?
I'll wait until the next time, but I did want to acknowledge that Mr. Bender is not here. We're wishing him well for a knee replacement that he's having done tomorrow. So he's doing all the prep, and we do miss him today. So.
Mr. Raleigh?
Nothing today, thank you.
Amanda Buchanan?
Nothing.
Gary Arce?
Nothing.
For me, nothing yet. Closed session reports? Not yet. We'll skip that. Okay, so we'll hold off on that. Adoption of the agenda. The board may approve the agenda as is or add and or pull items from the consent agenda for the discussion and or action. I need a motion.
I'll move the item.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Discussion information. Mr. Patrick Schlosser.
That's better. Okay, thank you. This is our annual presentation of local indicators, which must coincide by statute with the adoption of the LCAP. So the public hearing for the LCAP happened last week. This week it's proposed then to you for adoption. But along with that adoption, there's a couple of steps, and one of those is this local indicators. So just a reminder of our LCAP process, we are never not doing the LCAP. We're always involved in either monitoring, proposing new ideas, gathering input, redrafting language, and then presenting that for approval. And so we're at the last step of approval. And next step, actually, once we complete today, will be to submit it to the county officially for them to then give their feedback. And then we work toward final county approval, which must happen by September, which then is right about the time we start gathering data again and reporting back to you. The big idea today is this. The local indicators require us to monitor, survey, measure, and report. But there isn't a single benchmark that says, unless you meet this mark, you cannot say you met the measure. Meeting the measure means conducting the progress or the process of monitoring. It's a requirement to monitor things within our system that simply are not on the state dashboard. Here are the indicators we must measure and monitor. Something called basic conditions having to do with our facilities and teaching staff. Academic standards, making sure that what happens in the classroom is aligned with state standards. Parent engagement is a priority that we get to measure how that's done. School climate, which is in addition to the school climate factors in the dashboard, which are things like attendance rate and suspension rate. And then something sort of vague called broad course of study, which I will explain. And again, remember that MET means we have a process by which we monitor these items. So for priority one, a couple of things. First, misassignment. Misassignment, to be quite honest, early in the No Child Left Behind and highly qualified era was an easy yes or no. And quite often we had 0 or 1, truly what we believe to be misassignments. Misassignments now in this new regime are quite strict. And so we technically have, as of the date of census, remember, look at the slide, it's the 21-22 school year I'm reporting to you. Why so far back? Well, because this school year, the 22-23 school year, the complete audit of that has not yet occurred. We've just ended it. So for 21-22, we had 82 misassignments. But let me give you a sample of what a misassignment might be. A misassignment might be something like a high school, moderate to severe classroom, taught by a completely, fully credentialed and quite veteran teacher who has on their schedule for some of their students a class called Reading for Special Needs Students. Since that title has reading in it, which is appropriate for the student's IEP, but that teacher doesn't have an English language arts single subject credential. They have the appropriate credential for moderate to severe students. The county sees that as a misassignment. It's not a misassignment. And to be honest, there's ways over time that we're going to be working toward those. But remember, in 21, 22, when this happened, we did not yet know those rules. And so this number will continue to decline, but there's great numbers of these where the misassignment is misassignment in technical name, but nowhere do we have a place where a teacher did not have the appropriate credential, but it might have been the way the class was coded in Aries or something that the state simply, a misassignment rule they apply that no person here would think of as a misassignment. There were, at the moment of this audit in 21, 22, there were 3 vacancies on that time, at that time. This data will be in the current school accountability report cards, and it will be, again, for the previously completed year. The other thing we have to report is percentage of students without access to textbooks. In our district, every student has the appropriate textbook for every subject. We work really hard to make that the case. We have, as you know, this year finalized a few adoptions that were really tough. Biology was getting to where we had to beg, borrow, and steal to get enough copies of a biology textbook that was out of print. And so we went through an adoption process and have updated biology, chemistry, and physics this year. We're very thankful for that. And so that is 0 students who did not have a textbook. And then also facilities. Apple Valley Unified School District, as you probably know from Mr. Schulenberg's reports, has a very rigorous facilities inspection tool process done by a third party. This is not our opinion of our facilities. This is a professional organization's opinion of our facilities. This year, for the facility inspection tool, only 1 site was rated as fair, which is the second ranking down. The overall rankings continue to climb. The overall scores continue to climb. It's just incredible to watch these over time. Mr. Hopper shared with me the data overall, and it's something that will come to you in different times a year. But what we have to report is the number that are considered fair, and for this year, it was only 1. So again, that standard's met by virtue of our tracking system. Again, far more onerous than is required, but we believe it's better for us to have this information from that third party. State standards implementation, we do a self-assessment of the standard implementation across the district using our principals and have them kind of go grade by grade, standard by standard, and just kind of give us a report. Where are we on that? This is apropos as well to last week's presentation about key standards. So not only are we implementing the standards, but we're now focusing in on what are the most important standards, what's going to get us the most growth and acceleration for students. Upcoming movement in the making sure that we keep standards aligned textbooks with our students will be the following. We know we need a high school mathematics text, but the state is slowly developing publisher requirements for a new high school mathematics text. The framework was just approved. There was some controversy in the framework. It was delayed. It's now been approved, and we're waiting for, to be honest, textbooks that fill the criteria. And so once that occurs, we'll be engaging teachers in that process. Also, the AP Psychology textbook will be updated once the College Board does that update so that we know what the target is. And then finally, the world languages departments are in the timeline for updating their textbooks. So those will all happen next year. And again, focusing on key standards training. Parent input. As you know, our parents are part of our district advisory committee. They're involved in our DLAC and of course at every school site. The main way they're involved with us officially is really 2 ways, that district advisory committee group and our parent survey. Just a quick update on the numbers. You can see our parent survey and just general survey information continues to climb. Our student participation continues to go up after a dip during the year we were closed. Family community participation in the survey reaching almost 2,000 and staff participation climbing again as well. That's all through the Youth Truth Survey. General categories for the survey include things like engagement, relationship, culture, belonging, and this is for all segments, all stakeholders, all community partners. The other thing we did is we made sure and asked some specific questions of our district advisory committee parents. We asked them to rate us on several things. A couple of highlights from that. I won't bore you with all of those details, but we asked them to rate our progress in creating a welcome environment. We know that was important for us and for the community to do. And so you can see that the great majority feel as though we are either initially implementing, fully implementing, or implementing with sustainability a welcoming environment for parents. This is an area for continued growth, and it's wonderful to have an initial baseline. This is the first year we've done this particular survey of our district advisory committee parents, but very useful feedback. Also, about communication. We want to make sure parents feel like they're hearing from us, getting information, and able to give their thoughts back to us. And so also very encouraged to see over half the parents feel like that we are fully implementing that concept. And 16% said not only fully implementing, but sustaining. And 3 or 4 of them pulled me aside and said, "Stop sending me things. I get it." Thank you for snickering. And so, yes, we've met that criteria by continuing to engage our parents in that information. Finally, school climate. School climate actually comes also from that Youth Truth survey where students have told us, and I reported to you in earlier this year and had the quite humbling experience of working with students alongside Mrs. Nelson to hear from students about school climate. And they told us a harsh truth about their feelings about school, and it caused us to do some deep soul searching and measurement, asking, and ultimately we asked them to give us guidance, and they did. And so that was the student advisory process that came out through the DLAC. It's why we now have some of the things in our LCAP that we have for students. And so school climate must be measured. We do more than just measure. We really get a chance to meet with kids. And I'll tell you, the place that really became apparent to, I think Mrs. Nelson and I both, was at graduation, when those students who were part of that process came across the stage and just thanked us for being part of their education. It was a real gift. So we have met that standard by virtue of that process. Broad course of study. This is a general category about making sure it comes, to be honest, from school districts where students are not allowed to take courses for some reason or another. There's a gatekeeper who keeps them from a broad course of study, where certain types of students, maybe students of poverty, aren't allowed into AP courses, where certain types of students aren't allowed to take a college and career pathway. And so we monitor that information, but in Apple Valley, many of you in the system know that students who want to take an AP class, they're allowed to take the course. They may have to sign a note that says, "This is not what we recommend for you, and we will support you," but no one is denied access to a broad course of study. However, we have continued to monitor our transcripts with using that transcript service, the Riverside County Office of Education, taking a deep look at who is making A through G progress. We know that's an area of great need. Who is in the AP courses? Who's in the career pathways and taking advantage of those? Are we making sure that we're reaching a broad variety of students? We do watch these things both by student demographic, ethnicity, and program. And so we have met the 5 indicators. If there's ever a time when we haven't met those, you need to fire me, because this is an important part of this job. These are the things to watch along with the dashboard, but the dashboard's public. This making and monitoring, it doesn't mean everything's perfect, and I'm not here saying that, but I am here to say we should be paying attention to these things. And so that's the sort of the general survey of those indicators. And I'll pause there for questions.
Anybody have questions? I have one.
Oh, good. I was hoping so.
When you had the original update on the LCAP, and I know you didn't present it this afternoon, but it is in
Yes.
our packet.
This is very timely.
Yeah, the packet did state that, when you were dealing with the LCFF budget overview, that the total budgeted expenditure that you had was 40 million plus, 40,437,000 plus dollars. But the actual expenditure that you had was 40,949,000, which was in excess of what you stated. And I know that's not a lot of money for a big organization as a school district. But the question I have is, when this increase occurs, do you dip into another budget to be able to cover this cost that keeps growing?
Right. Thank you for that. So the budgeted expenditures in the LCAP on that budget overview slide, that's the supplemental and concentration grant dollars that we have budgeted to pay for items marked as contributing to that supplemental and concentration grant required increased percentage of quality and quantity of service for students. And when we do that a year ago for the year just passed, we anticipate the costs as best we can. And you're right, it did come in just about $500,000 higher than we anticipated on just over $40 million worth of expenses. So that does not, those are all general fund dollars. And we are not really encroaching into another area. It's still a general fund expense that must be paid. It's in excess because in some cases, those negotiated settlements changed or increased, salaries increased slightly, so expenses increased slightly. Here's what I'll say about that targeted amount. Our supplemental and concentration grant expenditures are focused on the students in greatest need. There were years when it was difficult to expend those dollars that way. We're very thankful actually that we were able to not only hit that budget, but exceed it a little bit, because we know that for meeting the LCAP goals and the goals of our community, that's exactly the student group that these dollars should be targeted towards. So it's not an encroachment in that exact sense, because these are not restricted funds. This is a restricted program. So but it is an increase in cost overall. And as you'll see with the budget presentations, we are seeing increased costs.
Thank you. Any other question? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Human Resources Professional Development presentation by Mr. Jeremiah Harrison and Mrs. Christine Dupree.
All right, I thought I would jump up here because these two always find a way to shine and look good. And I figure if I hang out next to them long enough, I'll start looking good too. So I just want to introduce both directors of human resources and compliment them and also encourage them. You know, what they're going to share today really is, I think, one of the most exciting things that we have got to experience in our system in quite a while. You know, we all know the stereotype that human resource departments carry, and it's nice to have people that lead that team. And when I'm not including myself there, I'm talking about Kristen and Jeremiah here, that do it with heart and with passion and hang up the Grim Reaper robe. And, you know, we still deal with the complaints. We still deal with the ugly stuff, you know, that does emerge in our system, but it's all done with dignity, with service. And I just am happy to introduce both Jeremiah and Kristen to give the presentation on all their hard work this year. And I'll stand by them to try to look better in your eyes as well.
Thank you, Dustin. Human Resources is an awesome place to work. We get to bring people into our district from the very, very beginning. We support them all along their careers. And at the end, we get to celebrate with them as they reach retirement. And it's hard to quantify our work. We just want to take a couple minutes, though, and share some numbers, share some of the big things that have been going on in the department. So if you take a look, these are numbers that reflect the current school year that just ended. So this is the hiring that happened to be ready for and throughout the 22-23 school year. You'll notice under certificated, we added 59 new positions this year, all designed to support students. Some of those were growth because enrollment has gone up. We needed more teachers, needed more staff. And then others were just designed to support students and support staff. Things like extra counselors, an increase in instructional coach positions, some intervention positions, and then some special ed teachers. 69 transfers throughout the year. And we mentioned that because it is work in our office to identify somebody who's somewhere who wants to be in a different position. And most of those transfers were filling in those new positions. We have an existing teacher, and now there's a new opportunity to be an instructional coach. And so they transfer into that spot and use their skill set to support teachers. And then in the certificated side, we hired 110 brand new staff to come into our system for this school year, really to backfill all those open positions and then to backfill retirements that took place.
Classified side of the house has absolutely grown over this past year. We've established 103 new positions, a great majority of those positions being paraeducators to support our special education students, and proctors that support our transportation department by enhancing the bus safety for students throughout the district. Transfers on the classified side of the house is our wonderful task of growing our own. And so most of those transfers are folks from our nutrition service worker department and our proctors who've been able to get more hours and grow within their own positions. Outside hires, 248 new employees have joined our family this year. It is a high number. I don't anticipate that much hiring in the next year or so. This was still backfilling vacancies from our retirement enhancement that we offered a couple years ago, in addition to resignations that came in during the pandemic. So lots of hiring on that side. We hear it all the time that Apple Valley Unified is a family. We hear it at staff meetings. We hear it from the community. We hear it during the interviews when people are, I want to be part of this family. So our Apple Valley Unified family now has almost 1,800 employees across the system, but that's not all of our family members. We also have 141 student workers that we employed this year, that they're being paid to offer tutoring services to students during our ELOP programs after school, and they're acting as classroom helpers for those students. Walk-on coaches are there to support our high school athletic programs as well. And after a pandemic pause, we were grateful to be able to bring back some of our volunteers. So 41 new volunteers this year, in addition to the hundreds that we already had approved.
And it wouldn't be fair if we didn't celebrate our substitute staff as well. Our campuses, our departments would not operate if there weren't substitutes to fill in the gaps on the days where regular staff is gone for training, gone for illness, for some reason out of their position. We have incredible subs that work across all areas of our district. 108 new substitute teachers came in and joined us this year. 39 of those were resident subs. That's a new program we started last year, incredibly helpful. Those 39 subs are assigned to specific sites. They go to the same site every day, regardless. They know every morning, I'm going to get up and go to that school site, which allows the site to plan ahead, to know that they're going to have some extra support, and sometimes to fill in different areas where they're able to do some extra training, extra work with staff they might not be able to otherwise. 184 substitute teachers then are actively working in our school system, or did this year. On the classified side, again, just so you can see some numbers, 121 brand new classified staff joined. And out of our existing classified sub pool, we have 137 that are actively working right now. And I say pool and bring that up. It's so important to recognize our sub pools right now are fairly deep. And it's fantastic for us because that's the first place we go to typically for hiring. We love the idea of bringing people in that we know our sites, that know our people, that we have worked with before. And so often that's the first place we look. And I want to thank you while we have you right here. At the start of this year, you approved a raise for our substitute teachers that really did have a great impact on our ability to bring subs in, not only to honor the work they do, but also just to be competitive across the desert.
One of the most exciting endeavors that Jeremiah and I were tasked with this year was building our leadership development program. We've got 4 distinct groups of managers throughout the system that we wanted to make sure we hit the same topics for, but they all have differentiated needs in how those topics would be implemented among their sites and their departments. So we made sure that all of our topics were in line with the district's core values and our goals. And we developed those meetings to follow our STOIC model so that we are modeling the expectations of our teachers in the classroom and giving our managers a format that they could take back to their sites and departments and deliver the content as well. As we said, AVUSD is a family, and when families gather, they gather around food. I know in our house, when grandma's Jell-O recipe comes out, we know something good's about to happen. And so we wanted to give our managers that vision that something good is about to happen. So the topics that we had for our leadership development centered around food so that you had a visual reminder of something to bring it back to. So topics such as not show average employee when we were discussing evaluations, let's talk about it when we were discussing having hard conversations. And we need some more great people like you in discussing interviews and hiring processes. At the heart of it, though, all of these topics were really about improving communications and building positive relationships.
Especially around our core values. We've acknowledged, maybe is a better word, 4 core values for the district. And so as we looked at working with managers and building up at those levels that they were going to take back to their sites and department, we focused on dignity. This idea that I'm going to treat everyone I interact with the value they deserve. I'm going to treat them the way I would want to be treated, with a level of respect. And so we worked as a group on active listening skills and having positive conversations, and then making sure that the environments where we're working are places where our employees feel engaged and feel valued and want to be a part of. Because we're a community. We're a community. We want to make sure everyone feels that there's a place where they belong. We talk about that a lot with our students. We want the same for our staff. And so one powerful way we were able to do that this year as a management team was related to goal setting. Teachers in our system, based on the Stoll Bill, set goals at the start of every year. They always have, they always will. And they use those goals to drive professional growth, things they're doing in their classroom throughout the year. This year, for the first time, that was offered and encouraged in all of our staff. So our classified staff also had the opportunity to sit down and set goals, personal goals, goals within their area of work, tied to the department goals where they were working, and then work with a manager throughout the year towards completion of those goals. So that was pretty powerful for us. And just working hard, finding ways, like I said, to build connections there. Authenticity. We're working as managers to be transparent, to be clear, that when you sit and have a conversation with someone, they should know what you think in relation to dignity, right? We're going to be authentic while we're treating one another with dignity, but really related to practice around providing clear expectations, and then feedback that's meaningful and direct and timely. And then lastly, service. We want to celebrate the service that all of our employees do. And so a fun thing we were able to do together was even talk through some rhythms, some strategies that we could use at sites and department to honor the service that our employees are providing across our system.
We spend a lot of time going to job fairs and competing against other districts to get the best qualified candidate. And so we had the thought, couldn't we host our own where we knew that everybody showed up, wanted a job with us? And the idea it kind of grew, and sure, we could do it. We didn't know what to expect. It was, our goal was, can we increase our substitute pools? We've got some open positions that maybe folks don't know to go to EdJoin to apply for, and maybe we can beef up our eligibility list so that our hiring process is a little smoother. And so we put some very intentional advertising behind it. Hopefully you heard about it. And just kind of still didn't really know what to expect. The event started at noon on the 19th, and by 9 o'clock in the morning, we already had people coming in to the NPR trying to get a look at what was going on. And it's like, okay, well, maybe some people heard about it. Hopefully people show up. By 11 o'clock, the line was wrapped around the building. When we opened the doors at noon, we were entering the front of the NPR. The line doubled back through the courtyard in here, went out the fence, and was out into the parking lot. So people heard about it. They showed up. We ended up with over 400 visitors that came through that day. We were able to offer 4 certificated contracts on the spot that day. Over 200 classified applications came in for positions. Our office is still working through the after effects of that, because now that people know that there's jobs within our district, those applications keep coming in, and it is a continual screening process and bringing in substitutes.
Lastly, next steps. It is 2023, and we're trying to catch up in our office. If you walk through, there are files all over the place, stacks of filing cabinets. Helios is helping. We're partnering with Helios, and they're helping us move to a digital filing system, with the idea that in the next couple of weeks, every employee that we onboard from that point forward will receive a digital packet. They'll sign everything online. It'll be kept in digital files, where eventually employees will have access through an employee portal to things like their file, their evaluations, They can go directly in there to sign papers, to change withholding information in business services. Should be really helpful to our people and to streamline things in the office. And then lastly, Kristen talked about kind of those 4 areas of management we worked with this last year's leadership development. We're looking to do the same with a 5th group, those aspiring administrators, our staff that are currently working, that are interested down the road in becoming an administrator. And so bringing them alongside, supporting, learning together, growing them up so that that pipeline is ready, that as vacancies come up, we have a group that's prepared to step into some of those roles. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for the support that you provide to our department. Are there any questions that we could answer today?
I just want to thank you guys. If I may, I liked your presentation about dignity. You know, we have 1,800 employees, and it's not always easy, but you guys set the tone for the district, and it doesn't go unnoticed by me. So thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question, though.
Yes, ma'am.
My question has to do with the new roadway that has just been created, has just been completed on Navajo, on Yakaloma, going
The green
west.
trees.
Going west. In light of the heavy traffic that is heading that way now, do you foresee hiring additional crosswalk proctors to make sure that our children can cross the road safely, especially for that early morning crossing to go to school?
They're going to actually defer to me, so I apologize for that. I'm probably releasing something a little early. I spoke to Ms. Poff yesterday. We will be sending out some information to families to gather them early before the school year starts to talk about the dilemma of that crosswalk. I'm not positive that adding another body in the crosswalk or 2 or 3 bodies will keep those children or those staff members safe. And so I'd like to propose that we are investigating some other solutions to that to support families to get their kids safely to school and keep our staff safe in that process as well. So more to come on that. We will start a bit of a campaign of letting those families know that we will be meeting. And we do know, obviously, the last week of school, a little bit of the impact that was exasperated because of the bridge opening versus what we were dealing with prior. So it is on our radar, but we want everyone safe, not just put more people out, because I'm not sure that people will stop just because there's more people in the crosswalk.
My next question had to do with your resident subs. And I think that is a great idea to have resident subs, because I know that there are times when things happen at school site. And if you don't have somebody to cover the class, then the principal and the staff, they're all running all over the place, trying to find ways to handle the situation. But resident staff sub seems to be a good idea. But the question that I have is, how do you determine how many resident subs should go at the different sites?
Sure, absolutely. It depends on absences. Our subs pick up absences at a different rate depending on the different school sites. And so what we end up doing is analyzing, looking at the 14 schools, which schools have the greatest need, and those schools have more resident subs than those schools that do not.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of on that same question, I was really glad to hear about the resident subs as well. 39 it seems like that's a substantial increase from past years. Is that true?
I don't have the exact number from last year, but I think it was in the low 30s or high 20s. So yeah, we've increased by at least 10, I would guess.
That's great. And for the student workers that are working in the district, I imagine maybe most of them are 12th graders. Any other grade levels represented in our student workers?
Juniors and seniors.
Juniors and seniors. Okay. Great. But that's a great experience for them.
It is
And-
wonderful. It's
yeah.
nice for them. A lot of them, it's looks great on a college
Yes.
application, and it's great to go home with a paycheck as
That's
well.
true.
And I'm hopeful of very early pipeline for
Yes,
teachers.
exactly. And congratulations on a very successful job fair. Thanks for all your hard work on that.
Thank you.
Any other question from the board? Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Kelly, do we have any public comments?
We have 3 today.
As provided on our public comment card, speakers are requested to limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. If more than one person wishes to speak on the same topic, subsequent speakers should limit their remarks to new information only. Public comments shall be limited to a maximum of 20 minutes per item. The first person I have is Mackenzie Ewing? Owings.
I'll fix it for you.
I don't want to fall. There we go. Yeah. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Mackenzie Owings, and I'm a student at Apple Valley High School for the 2026 graduating class, and on this year's officer team for the Future Farmers of America program. As some of you may know, our position of an agriculture teacher is currently vacant, leaving me and my fellow members left to wonder the stability and future of the program that was led by Mr. Penfold for more than 4 decades. Therefore, I stand here before you today to ensure that to ensure a sense of urgency in filling this position with a qualified and committed employee. This program means a lot to myself and my fellow members. Personally, it is a passion of mine to become an agriculture teacher myself and be the inspiration to my future students that past instructors have been to me. This program has been respected for many years as a top program in the high desert and has brought many outside students and funding to the school. It is an important outlet and teaches core values that prepare students for the rest of their lives, teaching respect and discipline while also being a joyful experience. So I come before you all today in hopes that you understand the importance of this program and all its current members and alumni. I represent all members of the FFA community when I say how much I respect and have admiration and admiration we have for people in your position, and want you to know that we do see the impact you have for our community and hope that our voices are heard and our needs are taken into consideration when choosing the future leader of this program. The position requires experience and an instructor committed to seeing the freshmen through to their senior year without a lapse in their lesson plans and training. Someone who truly cares to inspire those who may follow one of the most important career paths in this country. Our hope is that the board sees the importance and impact the staffing choices for AVHS can have on members in the community and the future economy as well as a whole. I appreciate your time and look forward to the future of the program as it continues to grow and inspire future students at AVHS. Thank you.
Thank you. Shelley Zellner.
I'm little. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Shelley Zillner, and I'm an AVHS parent. My older son graduated in 2022, and my younger son will be starting his junior year and sits on the Superintendent's Council. I am concerned about the decline of our animal sciences pathway, also known as the FFA program. This pathway offers students hands-on real-world experiences with livestock. They raise livestock, care for sick and injured animals, and even help process the poultry sold at auction. There are also opportunities throughout the year for students to demonstrate leadership skills, public speaking, record keeping, and teamwork. As FFA is a national organization, students have guidelines to adhere to and requirements to meet. This includes accurate record keeping. Students learn to set and stick to a budget. They need to track how much money they spend on animal feed and supplies. They also must keep track of the hours they spend on different activities throughout the year. Students also run for office in FFA. These student leaders run all of the official FFA meetings in a manner set by the national guidelines. They continue to grow and develop as leaders during their term in office. FFA students have opportunities throughout the year to meet and compete with other students from FFA organizations. These competitions offer students the chance to showcase their public speaking abilities. They compete in OCC, which is the official opening and closing ceremonies of all FFA meetings, and speeches both impromptu and prepared. The students work together to practice for these OCC competitions. The public speaking competitions also help prepare our students for job and college interviews. During the week of fair, students put all of their skills and knowledge into practical use. They write letters to potential buyers, explaining about their project. They also become ambassadors for FFA, animal sciences, and related fields when they speak to the public about their SAE projects. Our amazing teenagers build bonds as strong as family, and not just within our own organization. They work together, getting animals ready for the shows, participating in activities throughout the week hosted by the Junior Fair Board, cleaning barns, and even consoling each other when the animals are trucked out after the auction. To quote my son, quote, "I don't have friends in FFA. I have a family." Although fair is the culminating activity each year, animal sciences is not just about showing the animals. I know some of you were able to experience showing an animal last week during Administrators Week, and I hope that you gained some insights as to what it takes for our kids to show livestock. We again find ourselves without a program advisor. Our students need an advisor that will give them the stability and guidance that they deserve. An FFA advisor or ag teacher is much more than just a classroom teacher. These ag teachers spend hours outside of the classroom with students and animals, both on campus and off. I trust that every effort is being made to find the right advisor and fill the void. Our students deserve the best high school education. Thank you.
Casey Johnson.
Dear members of the board, my name is Keisha Johnson. I've been doing agriculture since I was about 3 years old, so pretty much since I could walk. Agriculture has played a large role in my life, and I feel, as a senior who has graduated, that students who are going into high school need to have the FFA program. Apple Valley was founded as an agricultural area and has now grown more as an agricultural valley, as an agriculture community, if you will. Many people don't actually see the value of FFA. But if you think about it, where does your meat come from the market? Farmers. Where do your vegetables come from? Farmers. Without FFA, students will not actually know how to be self-sufficient in life, how to be able to teach their own children how to raise an animal, how to grow plants, how to do just about anything it takes to do nowadays. Because who fixes your vehicles? Farmers. Because they can fix tractors to do anything you need. I personally know how to fix a vehicle because my father is a farmer and a mechanic who also works on mechanical, what's the word? Farm equipment. There we go. Sorry about that. I feel as if we need an FFA teacher to help guide these young generations into becoming more successful than we are as ourselves. Thank you.
Superintendent's comments.
I can't comment on the teacher, but it is a priority in this district to backfill that position. And I have to sit here in front of Troy, who walked me through showing a calf. And man, all I wanted to do was get that calf a little bit of a ribbon because I felt so bad that I couldn't even pull it off. But he did a great job training me. That's a very small portion of what you guys all do. We hope we have some great information for the community very soon. And as soon as we know, we will share with you. There are 2 positions. We had committed to that, and we will continue to apply for a backfill if we can get a second person as well. So just hold tight. We appreciate the advocacy. It's an important program to us, and we will continue to work really hard to find somebody that is appropriate for that program. So Mackenzie, Shelley, and Keisha, thank you so much. Thank you. This is the end of the comments for this year for me. So I'm going to take a little bit of an opportunity and say earlier in the school year, this is just a request for me from the board. We we had requested that Kylie coordinate California School Boards, the self-evaluation process for the board members. We realized that the window closed yesterday. There was a glitch in the system. They have not told me who didn't get their, it didn't record, but they are going to reopen the window. We're going to wait so that Mr. Bender is recovered before we reopen it. So I'm hopeful that we can reopen it right before school starts next year, notify those that didn't get it done or were affected by the glitch to be able to get back in so that we complete the process. And then the person that's assigned through CSBA will provide the background information for that. So that's one thing I wanted you to be aware of. Also, last board meeting, which was just last week, Mrs. Klima, the teacher she's actually a transitional kindergarten teacher over at Phoenix, had gotten up at the podium to talk about student behaviors at school and some safety concerns that she had. I was able to, she had already scheduled with her site administration because Stephanie, who's in the audience, was more than ready to talk about whatever the issue was. And so since they're on the lower campus, Stephanie and Mrs. Popick, Sabrina Popick, who's the AP on that side, also had scheduled. So I asked, can I just join, as opposed to make Deanna spend all day talking about this topic. And so we spent a couple hours. What we realized is there's some communication issues, an understanding of what our board certified behavior analysts do, what their role is, what their background is. Likewise, some communication having to do with the behavior intervention technicians, who are called the BITs, who go on campus and work directly with those students with a plan. And so Mrs. White is committed to some training at the beginning of the year. Actually, it was already scheduled. One of our BCBAs will be there. We know this is a school district-wide issue, not just a Phoenix Academy discussion. And so we're going to pull some data, and we're going to work on some ways to communicate and ask for feedback directly to principals in areas where there are some concerns. I know in Mrs. Klima's issue, part of it is, as a transitional kindergarten teacher, she has a para that's in the room and can actually support when there's a need for her to step aside with a student. Unfortunately, this year, that paraeducator became a mom. So she was out for an extended period of time. And then the backfill was ill. And so some of the systems that had been in place weren't in place. And so nobody's fault, but then you get brand new students with trauma or incidents that they're dealing with. And so we have a lot of work to do ahead of us, and we will continue to use our MTSS process to support those kiddos and communicate back with staff on what other measures we can do. I also have a meeting with the County Office of Education tomorrow afternoon they've set up a virtual meeting with me to talk about workshop dates for ethnic studies and the process with the toolkit, and possibly leading the process, getting us some information. So I'll get back to you with some dates that they have available. I did mention that Christina Pierce, the one that leads that department, is transitioning into Assistant Superintendent of Ed Services in another district, but there is a backfill. There are people that can support, so we will continue to move forward in that way. Tomorrow is our final graduation of the school year. A lot of people aren't aware, but adult education students do graduate from Apple Valley Adult Ed Consortium. It's part of a multi-district consortium. Always, it's one of the most wonderful events of the school year to see those who didn't complete their high school diploma with their peers. They've overcome challenges and obstacles to achieve this moment, get their diploma. And additionally, while we hear from each district has a student speaker, each group. And so we get to hear a story. We get to hear a few stories. But the reality is that every single one of them, not unlike our students that are in K-12, they have a story. And knowing that they finally did it really does matter. And so I think that it's valuable for them to represent that when a student in our district says, I can't do something, we have the motto, not yet, because our expectation is they can. The recent breakfast, I was at a recent breakfast honoring retiree Cheryl Culbertson. She's a teacher over at Desert Knolls, was a teacher there when it was Victor Elementary School District, has been here a long time. I was struck by a sweet statement of a student that had been recorded. He was a third grader. He said he could read now because of her, and that he thought he could read better than her now, or at least as good as she could. I had that moment when that was said because it reminded me of the incredible gift that we take for granted. We're a public education system. We serve all. And that means that every student has the opportunity to learn to read. I don't like to cry at board meetings. But here's the deal. I'm wearing a charm bracelet today that's making a lot of noise for a lot of people out there. I don't wear it because it drives me nuts, but I decided to wear it today. It's a reminder that every employee in this system, every person that comes in contact with a child, a parent, volunteer, anybody that spends time in this system, we have an opportunity during the summer that most places, employments don't have. It's my hope that as we sit back and think about that child that couldn't read and can now as a third grader, that our employees that are here this week for training, that are doing summer school, that at some point this summer take some time for themselves and that they sit back, and even if this charm bracelet that was a representation of my grandparents, they traveled all over the world. And I didn't understand it too when I played with a charm that has a movable part, that she was a child that came to this country as an English learner. And she was able to read and she could dream and be something. And so I expect our staffs, even if they can't travel, to pick up a book. And I hope our kids do the same and that they travel someplace and do something that we have taught them to do, which is read. And so even if it's a kindergartner who can just look at a picture, I hope that we value that one thing that is an outcome in this system. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for letting me do this job too.
Mr. Raleigh.
Well, since you mentioned it, Trinae, on Cheryl Culverson, I spoke to my son who's now 32, and he had her in the third grade at Desert Knolls. And I recognized when we gave the retirement awards out, she mentioned she remembered, who I was and my son. And so I talked to my son who lives quite a ways away from here, and he said, yeah, I remember her. She was one of my favorite teachers. And, he's 32, so that was a long time ago. So she did leave her mark. So if you do see her again, you could convey that over. She'll remember. So just one other quick thing on the FFA. It is very important. When I went to high school at Apple Valley in the 70s, FFA was part of the program back then. And I had several sibling sisters that were in FFA in the 70s and early 80s. And it's a priority for the district to keep it running. And we've had some hiccups over the last year, but we're working diligently to get it back up and running and get the positions filled. So we let you know that we do recognize the importance of the FFA program. I mean, not very many schools that do it in the state. So it's, especially in Southern California. So it's good to see. So we're on it. That's all I have, Madam President. Thank you.
Amanda Buchanan.
I just wanted to thank the students, first of all, for taking time out from your summer to come here and speak to us, because I'm sure there's other places that you could be right now, but that shows your passion for what it is that you're speaking for. And I was trying to do the math in my head. Did you just finish 8th grade? No, Ninth. Okay, then I can't do math. Fair enough. I was going to say you were so well-spoken. You're still well-spoken for a 9th grader. And then I was admiring your belt, which I'm sure was earned for something fantastic. I do hope everybody, this is our last meeting before we go on to summer break. And I hope everybody has at least some plan, even if it's just like relaxing, some type of a enjoyable planned. For me, I have a feeling I tend to overdo things, and I think I've overbooked my summer. My family's probably going to need like a vacation from our vacation. But one of the highlights that I'm really looking forward to is that we are going to spend a couple days in Washington, D.C. And I had applied a while back that when we were going to be at Arlington National Cemetery, that we would be able to participate during the changing of the guard ceremony in a wreath laying ceremony. And it was selected. So on behalf of the Apple Valley Unified School District, and then one other organization that I represent, my family and I will be laying a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. So I'm really looking forward to doing that, and I will bring back pictures. So enjoy your summer. Thank you.
Mr. Arcee.
I just want to echo some of the previous comments about the FFA program. We also know the importance of it and the significance and the uniqueness of it. Like Mr. Raleigh said, we're blessed, we're fortunate here to be one of the very few schools in Southern California, not just with an FFA program, but an extremely robust and successful program. So we share that passion. And I also just want to compliment Mackenzie and Casey for just being outstanding speakers. It was very impressive to listen to both of you. Both of you are very well spoken and communicate your point very well. So just want to compliment you on that and keep on going. We look forward, and I think you expressed an interest in maybe pursuing FFA, maybe as a teaching career. And boy, I know a good school where you can plug into later on. So keep us in mind as you go through the rest of your training. Thanks to both of you, and of course Shelley as well for sharing. That's all.
Sure. Okay, I have to start out by thanking the students for coming out during your vacation. So you actually talked to us about the FFA. It's very interesting for me just to observe, especially when we walk by there during graduation and the animals remind us that they're here. They make enough noise for us to know that they are still there. And for somebody who's really not an animal lover, I actually went to your last event at the fairgrounds, and for the first time in my in my young life, I was able to touch a cow. It was like, "Do I have to touch it?" She says, "Yeah, I'll bring it close." So I don't take what you do lightly because I like to garden. And so when the last speaker spoke about gardening, that's very, very important, near and dear to my heart. But I'm hoping that by the beginning of this new academic year, which is July 1st, and I know you don't come back till August, that we will have some positive news for you regarding the FFA. So don't give up, because we are not giving up. And then I am going to go on to thank all the staff who've made this school year such a blessing during this school year, to deal with all of the children, to deal with the families, and to communicate effectively to the families that we serve. I always say to people that culture does not make people, people make culture. So you all are creating the culture that you want us to see, want us to live in. And so I'm really looking forward to a new academic year coming in, where we are going to embrace the exact same thing the superintendent just mentioned about valuing the child. Every child matters. Every child should be able to know how to read. But don't force the child to read your kind of reading. Let the child guide you in knowing what they want to read, and then encourage them from that point. So I'm hoping that when we start out the next year, we'll get to a point which the superintendent started this year, where she had the superintendent's council, and students were able to share in their own words what they would like to see, because this is their future, not my future. Mine's done. But your future is what you need to be able to have a voice to let us know what you will want to see in the schools so that we can make it happen. Thank you so much for a great school year. Now we go to the discussion action session. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees discuss and take action on the following. Approve the recommendation of the creation of an ethnic studies task force to report back to the board in 1 year to address California Assembly Bill 101 on ethnic studies. The task force will follow the steps of collective impact strategies contained in the San Bernardino County Ethnic Studies Toolkit. Additionally, the task force will utilize the Apple Valley Unified School District School Board policies and administrative regulations for course and curriculum adoption. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it. Any discussion?
I just wanted to say thank you for last week when we had the unanimous support of bringing this motion forward so that we can follow the county's guideline and do this with integrity and following the strategies that they suggested. So
I need a vote. All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Approve the certificated and classified personnel actions as listed. I need a motion.
I'll move it.
Any discussion? Vote, I need a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Adopt the local control accountability plan for 2023-2024. I need a motion. I'll second it. Any discussion? Need a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve the recommendation of the administrative hearing chairperson effective immediately. I would like the clerk.
Sure. So we did have a minor change in the recommendation, and it will read as follows. And this is on expulsion case number 6, 2022-23. Stipulates the STIP number 6, 2023 be placed on suspended enforcement of expulsion to High Desert Premier Academy Middle School program for 1 calendar year from the date of the board action. Student is to complete the terms and conditions of the rehabilitation plan prior to the end of the 2023-24 spring semester. That's the recommendation.
I need a motion.
I'll move it.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Expulsion case number 20. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Expulsion case number 21. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it. I need a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Expulsion case number 22. I need the clerk to read it out.
Sure. We had a minor change to the recommendation on expulsion case EXP 22-23 be placed on suspended enforcement of expulsion to High Desert Premier Academy for the remainder of the 2022-23 spring semester for 23-24 fall semester. Student is to complete the terms and conditions of the rehabilitation plan prior to the end of the 2023-24 fall semester. And I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Adopt the proposed budget for 2023-2024. I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees consider approving a number of agenda items as a consent list. Consent items are routine in nature and can be enacted in one motion without further discussion. This procedure conserves meeting time for a full discussion of significant issues. Consent items to be approved in one motion 1 through 16.
I'll move it.
1 through 14, sorry. It says 16 here. So 14.
I'll make a motion, we approve 1 through 14.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We need to go, we don't need to go to another closed session. So I am going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second that. And all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Poor Dennis. He missed like the shortest meeting.